shows more than 60% of likely voters will keep Governor Gavin Newsom in office. Motivated Democrats have widened the gap from earlier in the summer. And here now to discuss the recall election and election security is California's Secretary of State, Shirley. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
So you've called this recall election, quote, the most important election that most of us will have in our lifetime. Why do you think that?
Well, I think that because it's a different kind of election. Normally we're accustomed to the traditional election where we're voting on multiple candidates. We know who they are. They've gone through a longer process. And so we have a tendency to become comfortable with that. This one also is a recall is usually kind of, I always say, an attitudinal kind of election, because it really says that you're displeased with someone, specifically a person that you're displeased with, and that you want to do a replacement. And so it really is asking you, is there something wrong with the current administration, so much so that you want to eliminate it or get rid of it? So it's different, and we don't do it very often. I mean, these kinds of elections do not happen often in a state, and most states don't even do recalls. And we've only done it twice in terms of the governor, and that was in 2003, and now, of course, this year. So it's been 18 years since we had such an election.
And the deadline has passed to register to vote by mail, but people can still cast their votes in person. So with a provisional ballot, what are you seeing in terms of voter turnout?
Well, so far, as we've talked to various individuals, many of them are talking about a great turnout in terms of absentee ballots. But and it may not just be this election, it may be just a change in California's election process. We saw a great turnout in absentee ballots in the fall, when people actually had a chance to use it for the first time in great numbers. People were pleased with the process. When I became Secretary of State, I met with the 58 counties, and across the state, people were talking about how the process was easier, there was more engagement, more involvement, and they were satisfied with voting by mail or having access to a ballot in advance that they could turn in anywhere they choose to. So it may be just a result of that. We know in other states where they've implemented everyone receiving a ballot, that the voting is really something that we admire, the 80 and the 90% in Colorado. And we saw over 80% here in California in the last election. And so, it energizes people to know that they have their ballot. They can vote anytime they choose between now and September 14th. And we're seeing people utilize that process and actually show up in person. Fewer numbers actually go to the polls.
And what are you and your office doing to ensure the election is safe, fair, and secure?
Well, we have a very extensive process that we're involved in. And it's interesting to me coming in new as a new Secretary of State, getting a chance to see what we do. And all of our equipment is tested. All of our more than once, we have a system that we utilize that allows us to ensure that the software on the computers are actually the software that should be there. There's a chain of custody that's there. All those kinds of things is there, as well as after the election, we do a 1% tally. We have a system where we pull out so many ballots to try to validate the fact that what took place in the election was actually correct. We're forever working with individuals and trying to make sure that it's transparent, so that people can come in and watch the count if they choose to. They can come and watch the count. If they have some concerns that their ballot is not getting there, if they put it in the mail, we have a tracking system. Where's my ballot? And it allows us to track when you put it in, exactly tells you, and it responds to you, letting you know when they received it and then when it's been counted. So we do a number of things to hopefully let people know that the process is fair, it's open, it's transparent. You get a chance. We want every one vote to count, those kinds of things. And we respond to any question of inappropriate behavior immediately. Now, clearly, people will complain consistently about, things that may not even be true. But nonetheless, those complaints that are accurate, that we've discovered have some meat to it, we respond to all of them as quickly as possible.
Yeah, a group of election security experts are worried about sensitive election system software being disclosed. And you kind of alluded to the statewide reviews and so forth. Are you going to do that, as you sort of mentioned, for ballots cast after the election, doing a statewide review? Sounds like that's gonna happen.
We do the 1% count. Yes, we do. And we're working on even making it more transparent. I just got off a call with some of the members of our team to make sure that it is more transparent, that people have a chance to see it. And we continue to work with a number of experts as we look at pilot programs and things that we need to do to make sure that it's there. So we do work on that, and we will be doing auditing after the election. Yes.
And we spoke with an election security expert who was suggesting voters hand in their ballots in person instead of mailing them in, so there's a paper trail for any audit process. Would you advise voters to do that?
Voters can do that if they choose to. We try to say to people, do what you find most comfortable for you. We're going to try to secure and ensure that every part of that step is correct and that it's safe. But if you feel, for whatever reason, as I did for many years, wanting to basically go to the polls and do that traditional voting thing, that's good. That's great. I mean, we all have our traditions of way we want to do it. And that's one of the reasons why we have not mandated any particular way that the election should occur. The legislature did not. We said, here's a choice. You've got a ballot. You can use it. Or you can go into the polls a day as you used to do and sign your name and get a ballot that's there. You can actually take yours and put it in a mailbox. You can deliver it to the registrar of voters. You can put it in a ballot box. I mean, all of these things are ways that we've done it. And each step of the way, we try to ensure that that ballot will be protected and that it will get there. And then with all of that, we still say you can find your ballot, track my ballot. And it's an easy process. I did it this time as usual. I was always excited. The fact that when I got my ding on my phone that said after one day that the post office has my ballot, and then the second day that the registrar of voters had it, and that they had verified who I was, they had counted my ballot, and and everything was great. And we keep records. All of the ballots are kept so that we don't toss out ballots when the election ends.
Secretary of State Shirley Weber, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the information, for helping us get this information out. And we encourage everyone to vote.
From the